All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling the absolute core of J.B. Priestley's and Inspector Calls today. We're talking Act 2. Now, if you're gearing up for your GCSEs, listen up, because this is the act you have to know inside and out. It's basically where that whole polite family dinner charade just completely falls apart, and the inspector, well, he really starts to turn up the heat.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. We're basically going to follow the inspector's lead. We'll start with Gerald, then move on to the, let's say, very confident Mrs. Burling, and then watch as the inspector brilliantly sets a trap that all leads up to that absolutely explosive cliffhanger. Honestly, it's a masterclass in how to build tension.
Okay, so Act 2 picks up exactly where we left off. We're right back in the middle of all that tension. The inspector is about to shift his focus away from Sheila, but not before she drops a line that just perfectly sums up his entire technique. It's the key metaphor for everything that's about to happen.
And this line, wow, he's giving us the rope so that we'll hang ourselves. I mean, think about that. Sheila gets it. She's the first one to really see what the inspector's game is. He's not just some cop asking a few questions, right? No, he's more of a catalyst. He's just letting them talk, and their own words, their own actions are becoming the noose. This is a massive moment for her character. You can literally see her pulling away from her parents' willful ignorance.
So, with Sheila's incredible insight just hanging in the air, the inspector's spotlight swings right over to Gerald Croft. You know, he's this charming, upper-class guy. Seems to have it all together. But we're about to find out that he has his own hidden connection to the girl who, at this point, was calling herself Daisy Renton.
So look at how Gerald frames this whole story. He really tries to paint himself as this heroic fairy prince, doesn't he? He swoops in and rescues Daisy from some sleazy guy at a bar. He gives her a place to live, he gives her money, he becomes her everything. But this whole rescue story is a bit convenient. It completely ignores the power he holds over her. What starts as a rescue quickly becomes an affair. And, as soon as it gets complicated for him, he just ends it. It's help, but it's totally on his own terms.
This quote from Gerald is just so telling. He says Daisy was happier than she'd ever been before, but then he adds that she knew it couldn't last. This really gets to the core of what's going on with Gerald. Is he a good guy, or is he just selfish? I mean, he gave her this little bubble of happiness, sure, but he was always the one in control. And when he was done, she was disposable. It really makes you question what his help was really about.
And here are the consequences, right here and now. Sheila gives him the ring back. And what's so interesting is that she actually seems to respect his honesty for a moment. But it doesn't change anything. The truth is out. And her line, "You and I aren't the same people who sat down to dinner here," it's just so powerful. It proves that the inspector isn't just digging up the past, he's actively destroying their present. That perfect family image? Yeah, it's shattered for good.
All right, so just as Gerald's confession is sinking in, who should walk in but Mrs. Burling? And she just radiates this cold, untouchable confidence. She's a prominent social figure, she runs a charity. In her mind, she can just waltz in and put a stop to this whole mess. She completely underestimates the inspector. Big mistake.
Sheila sees exactly what her mother's doing. She warns her, "You mustn't try to build up a kind of wall between us and that girl." And that's Mrs. Burling's whole defense, isn't it? A wall built of class prejudice. She's desperate to separate us, the respectable, wealthy Burlings, from that girl, someone she sees is totally beneath her.
And you really can't get a more perfect example of the generation gap in this play. Look at this contrast. Sheila is wrecked with guilt. She says, "I know I'm to blame and I'm desperately sorry." And her mother? Stone cold. "I did nothing I'm ashamed of. I consider I did my duty." This isn't just two people disagreeing. This is a clash of entire worldviews, and Priestley puts it right in the spotlight.
This quote right here, this is one for the exam essays for sure. Girls of that class, that little dash at the end says everything. It is just dripping with the cold, judgmental prejudice of the Edwardian upper class that Priestley is tearing apart in this play. In just 4 words, she tells you everything you need to know about her ugly worldview.
Okay, hold on, because here's where it all kicks off. This is the big turning point of the act. This is the moment the inspector brilliantly uses Mrs. Burling's own pride and prejudice against her. It is an absolute masterclass of dramatic irony.
And if you're writing about this play, you have to use this term, dramatic irony. Priestley is a genius with it. We, in the audience, we can feel the trap closing in long before Mrs. Burling has any clue. It creates this almost unbearable tension,
because we have to sit and watch her confidently walk right into it, condemning the very person she thinks she's protecting.
So the inspector just lays it out. Mrs. Burling, the head of a charity, a place meant to help women in crisis, was the very last person who could have saved Eva Smith. And what did she do? She refused. She used her power not to help, but to pass judgment and deny help to a young, pregnant, and utterly desperate woman. But she has no idea she's trapped. Not yet. She just confidently passes the buck. It's the father's fault, she says. Go find him. It's his responsibility.
She just keeps digging the hole deeper and deeper, doesn't she? She insists he should be publicly shamed, that he should face the most severe consequences for what he's done.
And there it is, the final nail in the coffin. He'd be entirely responsible. With that one final damning statement, the trap is set. Mrs. Burling has passed her sentence. All the inspector has to do now is spring it.
And the inspector just lets that question hang there in the silence. But who is the father of the child? Mrs. Burling is still feeling smug, but you can just imagine the look of pure horror spreading across Sheila's face. Because she knows, she's figured it out. She knows exactly who her mother just sentenced to public disgrace.
And that brings us to what has to be one of the most incredible, jaw-dropping cliffhangers in all of modern theater. All the tension that has been slowly, carefully building throughout this entire act is about to just detonate.
And Sheila's horrified cry says it all. It confirms what we, the audience, have been dreading. Mrs. Burling, in her blind, arrogant prejudice, has just called for the public humiliation and punishment of her own son, Eric. And then, talk about timing, the door opens. In walks Eric, looking just awful, totally distressed. And boom, there he is. He's the answer. He's the guy his own mother has just thrown to the wolves. The stage direction is so simple but so brutal, isn't it? The curtain just falls, fast. And it leaves everyone, the characters on stage and us in the audience, just sitting there in total, absolute shock.
So, let's just quickly recap. What are the big takeaways from Act 2 for your revision? Well, first, that chain of responsibility gets a lot longer. It now includes Gerald and Mrs. Burling. We see that huge, gaping canyon between Sheila's genuine remorse and her mother's cold prejudice. And of course, Priestley uses that incredible dramatic irony to ramp up the tension until it just snaps with that unforgettable cliffhanger ending.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on, something to really think about for your own analysis. Why did Priestley structure this act the way he did, as a series of individual interrogations? It's not just for drama, it's to show us, visually, his main point, that we are all connected, we are all links in a chain, and every single thing we do has a consequence for somebody else.